Yes, this is my part two on serial killers that are women, men, couples, and also exposing what these crazy psycho serial killers do as a hobby and how they did their victims and how that they dispose of their victims. And so we're basically getting into their minds a little bit. This is Jeffrey Dahmer. Killed 17 men. Yes, he was a bisexual. He liked the young men. But the way that this man killed was so gruesome. He was so gruesome. And he was so brutal and crucial with his murders that he will keep the intestines, the corpse, the heads, the bones of all of his victims as souvenir and also to have sex with them. This individual was so sick that his father and mother asked themselves, what did we do so wrong to raise a son that turned out to be a horrifying killer, but also one of the most politified and even serial killer sensations to do movies of, Mr. Jeffrey Dahmer. This man you see right here is a sick individual from Peru. This man is responsible for almost 246 murders, rapes, and tortures of just little boys. He was given time in prison, but the maximum in prison in Peru only gives you 20 years. He did 10 or 12 years, and he is still out till this day. But he is wanted for another crime that puts him in the place where in the world is Pedro. He needs to be apprehended. Now, this crazy, delusional old man that you see here, he had a 2-decade agenda of murdering women, and then he will paint them. Yes, he was the serial killer painter of the painter serial killer. Yes, he will actually gruesomely and very, very evilly draw his victims while he was torturing them, killing them, even taunting them before he killed them. This man was accused of 90 murders and bragged about more. They just never found the paintings because I guess he got tired of bragging of how many women he killed. This individual should die. No sympathy, no sorrow, die. This individual is one of the most horrifying, prolific serial killers of all time. This is H.H. Holmes. Triple H, or you could call him H. Holmes. This man was known to rob and steal the identities of his victims, but then he got very, very evil when he decided to move to downtown Chicago and decided to kill the man that helped him when he got to Chicago, got himself situated, built a massacre museum, and killed almost 275 to 400 people. Unbelievable. This gentleman is one something. This individual was accused of killing and hurting and raping almost 300 boys and girls. He is doing his time. He was only given 20 years because that's the maximum that they have in Mexico. But soon he will be free. What type of world do we live in? This woman you see here, you look at her, you think she's innocent. You don't think that she ain't about no killing. But this beautiful serial killer right here has been apprehended and charged and now sentenced for 19 murders. She is currently now in death row. She basically states and also confirms that the reason why she did it is because she did not trust men and that men were evil. Yes. This couple that you see right here, you see the young lady to my right. When I did my first video, I exposed her as being one of the most horrific serial killers of all time. And the reason why is because her husband is also and was a serial killer. They love and they enjoyed robbing and kidnapping little kids. And before they murdered and tortured and beat up the kid, the little boy, they will burn them and taunt them and cut them into pieces until they devoured all their victims. This couple right here, do you see that man? That man is the equivalent of what evil is and evil does. A bloody massacre serial killer that engaged his wife into his lifestyle, and she and him went on the killing spree where I think 4 to 9 victims, maybe more, were murdered and just gruesomely beaten and even cannibalized by this couple. This couple right here was a couple that was known in their city, their community, their church, but still decided to say, well, let me just grab another hobby and just become a serial killer, and let me see if my wife just wants to join me. Why not? And they both, for a decade and a half, killed at least double-digit men and women. Now, this couple, they're a little deranged. The way that they massacred and killed their victims, kids, girls, it did not matter. It's, if you see it, you will throw up because it was so gruesome. But they got caught, justice was served, and both of them were executed. Now, this beautiful couple you see right here was just the equivalent of the Natural Born Killer movie by Woody Harrelson. And the white girl that did, I forgot the name of the movie, but yes. This is ridiculous how people, they were apprehended for 4 to 9 murders, but just the way that they killed and they gruesome and they tortured their victims. Oh my God. Do people nowadays have companion? It's the blasphemy, and the blasphemer is taking over people's souls like never before. And they say the reason why they killed is because it gave them urge. They masturbated. They also washed themselves with blood out of their victims, as they also had sex with their corpse. And they also had sex with themselves and the corpse with Jesus Christ. I can't believe I'm saying this. This couple just had been apprehended just a few years ago. I'm glad they apprehended, and I'm glad that they both are gonna die. No sympathy. This is the oldest serial killing couple of all time. They manipulated their victims by using kindness, sweetness, and even bribery. Once their victims got close enough where they felt, where their victims were trapped and had no way out, they were hit with hammers. They were hit with wrecks. You know, them wrecks that you do the yard with outside in the barn and all that. They were hit with bats. They were stabbed. They were ripped in pieces and even buried right in their turf. Where friends and family would come over and smell that horrendous smell. They just did not know that it was the old couple that was committing these horrendous, these horrifying crimes. They started noticing that more people started disappearing. And the tracks and everything that became into lead investigation and all the evidence, it always pointed at the old serial killing couple. Jack the Ripper, the most dangerous serial killer at his time. He killed 5 women brutally with knives in the middle of the street, in the middle of the night. Never was apprehended, never was caught. But what makes Jack the Ripper so different and so outlined from all the others is that he enjoyed to hear his victims scream for help as they were being tortured and they were being mutilated, and also they were being stabbed to death as he had sexual intercourses with them. And as he killed them, he prepared them as if they were going to their own funeral. Make sure that their hands were laid together, their feet were clamped together, and their eyes were shut as if they was taking a sleep or a nap. But it was the mind of this horrendous serial killer that terrified a city, a town for multiple years and never was apprehended. Now, this Russian serial killer has a hobby and a very crazy, deranged, I need God and Jesus help, really problem. This man, this disgusting man, likes to keep the parts of his victims and actually do cocktail fruits, do vegetables, salads, cooking, soups. If you look into my left hand side, as you can see, it's a little bit blurry. That is the head of an old woman, a victim. And as you see to my right, those are her intestines. Those are her insides. Those are like parts of her breast, of her stomach, of her lungs that he basically fried in the soup to make it boily and juicy, so when he cooks, he can put her ingredients in his food. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying that. Lord have mercy. You see? Do you see the head of a beheaded old man that he killed and left there as a souvenir or whenever he's ready to eat it? You see, it doesn't get no stranger, it doesn't get no more scarier, and it doesn't get more terrifying than that. There are serial killers in this world that will use their kindness, that will use their advantage to anyone, and you will not ever know who you just got in the car with, who are you talking to, and it might be the end of you. You see, you must be very careful. Look what's going on in Russia. Look what's going on in China. Look what's going on in Atlanta. The sex trafficking. They're putting chips on these little girls and these little boys that are being trafficked for sex slavery, for torture and murder, and even cannibalism. Pay attention to what I'm telling you. This is real. This is not make-believe. You need to understand that you can become a victim. One of your family members, one of your loved ones can become a family victim. You see, these are some of the serial killers who kept skulls, as in to say, I am the devil, I am Satan, I am the 666, I am what you want to fear and hate the most. You are what you don't want to be around with or also associate with. But the problem is, a serial killer never tells. So you will never get into the mind of a serial killer knowing his intentions in his gruesome way of destroying and demolishing and disintegrating of a body. Now, there are signs that you can see of serial killers. Number one, if a person approaches you and you get a gut feeling that that person is not right, don't sit there and conversate. get away, run. Number two, if a person is too aggressive into getting your attention and following you and trying to be your friend, and you know that this person is not of age, could be your parent, or you never seen this person before, do not stop. Do not talk to this individual. Turn around and go somewhere where you know you are safe, or you got friends, or you got an adult that can call your parents, or they can call the police. Be very careful who you trust, especially in the countryside. Like I'm talking about the Georgia countryside, the Virginia countryside, the Idaho countryside, Kentucky, even Miami. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Florida, deep up in Florida. You know what I'm saying? And all these other places where you know that people are isolated. They out the market. You know, they out the radar. You cannot see them. They out the grid. These are some of the horrific pictures that Jeffrey Dahmer. As you can see, you got pieces of lungs. You got pieces of body parts like shoulder parts and hand parts. He basically mutilated and kept the parts of his victims because he said eating them made them a part of him and made him a part of them as well. So basically what I'm saying is this sick bastard who got murdered in prison. Yes, Jeffrey Dahmer crossed the line with an inmate and tried to have sex with an inmate, and the inmate beat him to death. But before he finished killing him, he grabbed a broom from the facility and stuck it in his behind and shoved it so far in his behind that they said that it broke halfway down his lung, where his lung was cut and he bleeded inside out by choking on his own death. Horrifying death. And he deserved it because he crossed the line. Now you see this old man here. This old man killed the little girl. And after he killed the little girl, weeks later, he sent a gruesome letter to the family and telling the family how he cut the girl up in pieces, and how her buttock and her vagina tasted like fresh tuna, and how he enjoyed licking and sucking and slurping on her little juicy booty, and how he said he ate the eyeballs and how he cooked them. Basically send a letter to the family to let them know how stupid they were to let him take his daughter to a so-called party. Now this dude right here just hits the epiphany and the epitome of what the devil and what a sick individual is. This is a man from China or Japan, I'm not so sure. This man is known for teaching people in how to cook women their body parts and how to make sure that you keep her alive long enough so she can suffer every bit of every cut and every bit of rip of flesh, and every time that he breaks a bone for her to feel it. Now this is the thing. This man was apprehended for his sickness and his devilish ways, but his father had big connections. So as of today, this man is free. He's written a couple of books, and he also is an actor where he is loved. What the fuck is going on with the world? Now, this is the clown killer. You see all these pictures? The clown killer killed all these boys and even women, which is 32 to 59 victims. And most of his victims, he, no lie to you, buried them in his basement. You see, we're living in the world where serial killing is growing by the minute and growing by the second. Looking at the world and looking at the chaos that we're going through, And with the president making the decisions that he's also doing, the world is already at a division and is already at a place that if we don't fix the issues and the problems that we're going through, they're only going to get worse. So please open up your eyes and see that there are people out there who are dangerous, who are very, very much in the intent and with the intentions of killing you and making you their victims while they torture you and murder you and laugh at you and even make an example to you just to make your family torture. This is Serial Killing Part 2. Your boy, peace.